Issued new rules in Mecklenburg County. Now you are only allowed to walk to them, not drive there. County Manager Dina Denorio is warning if you try to park outside the gates, you will be towed. Now this is new video here. Take a look here this morning from Freedom Park with barricades up to block cars. Law enforcement will be patrolling parks to make sure people are socially distancing themselves. If people don't comply, parks would close to the public, something leaders really don't want to do. The county is also looking at the possible boat ramp closure. And also in Concord, officials are taking steps to make sure that they don't have to do the same there as well. From what we've seen today, parks are still open there, and what we do know are people seem to be trying to keep their distance in Concord, but Parks and Recreation staff tell Channel 9 that they had some violations there, and they closed off the playground with caution tape, but still people are ducking under or climbing over to play on the equipment. Now, the message city officials want to get out right now is you wouldn't cross the caution tape on a crime scene or a fire scene, so don't cross it here either. Now, police officers in parks and rec staff are out at all the parks right now trying to educate people on the order. They need you to help them keep these parks open so they don't have to take measures like in Mecklenburg County. But they do have a plan just in case. And of course, we will break that down and how Mecklenburg County residents are taking the new park restrictions there. And that's coming up on Eyewitness News at 6 o'clock.
And new at noon, we are getting a better look at the crimes Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police have been responding to during this pandemic.
And Channel 9's Mark Becker listened to a CMPD news conference in the last 90 minutes. And Mark, it's been quite a change for officers out there.
Yeah, it's quite a contrast, Damani. At their news conference this morning, police talked about crime essentially and their business of policing crime the way they've done it over the years. And at the same time, they also spoke about the new world they're in with new regulations, all related, of course, to COVID-19 and the coronavirus. They started, though, by releasing the first quarter crime stats from January through March of this year. And here are some of the things to look at. First of all, the crime stats show that property crime is down by 1% over the same time last year, but violent crime was up by 4.7%. Homicides down slightly from 28 last year to 27 this year, but robberies were up by more than 10%. On their handling of issues raised by the coronavirus, they say they've cited 13 people and arrested 8 for violations of the stay-at-home order here in Mecklenburg County, most of them at a protest outside a women's clinic on Saturday. But they say the vast majority of people are complying with the order. They also say that they still have only 2 officers and 1 civilian employee testing positive for the virus, and that they have a total of 36 employees who've been out at one time or another because of concerns about that virus. And that all officers, they say, now have the proper equipment, PPE, personal protective equipment, and training to deal with that. More specifically, Deputy Chief Jeff Estes told us today that everyone coming on shift is checked for temperature and asked if they're feeling well. If they are not, they are sent home. That's a screening process, certainly, that is new, Damani, and something they are dealing with internally to keep that pandemic from reaching the police department in big numbers. Damani?
Well, precautionary measures that are desperately needed right now. Mark, thank you so much for that.
We're following tragic news out of Iredell County. The county is reporting its first COVID-19 death. Health officials aren't releasing any information about the victim other than they had underlying health conditions. The county's health director says this shows the importance of following the stay-at-home order and other recommendations. More than 3,200 people in North Carolina have been diagnosed with COVID-19. 386 people are hospitalized. 53 people have died. And in South Carolina, 51 people have died from the virus. There are now more than 2,400 cases statewide, including 15 in Chester and 108 in York County.
Well, right now, leaders don't think they'll need a field hospital at UNC Charlotte anymore, but they are still requesting a mass care facility near Uptown. The 600-bed field hospital will likely require 700 staff members. The Army Corps of Engineers is scouting sites right now, but it is possible that the mass care site could be split between Atrium and Novant. And there are 3 reasons why plans for the UNCC hospital fell through. Atrium and Novant created space to handle more people in their facilities. Officials also say social distancing is working and the curve is starting to flatten. And local officials were told that they will not get assistance for supplies or staffing from the federal or state government. And county leaders say that is disappointing.
I am saddened that we will not have any federal or state support to do it. We are blessed in Mecklenburg County that we do have resources to be able to protect our people, but I regret that we have to do it alone.
Well, county leaders say they will be reimbursed for the cost of the field hospital.
Medic is interacting with dozens of patients every single day, but among the first responders, they've still only had 1 confirmed case of COVID-19. Medic's Deputy Director John Studneck says they are taking all the steps they can to ensure their staff stays safe. Paramedics encounter about 40 patients a day with coronavirus symptoms, and between 5 and 7 of them end up testing positive. We asked what a sudden spike of cases within Medic would mean for them.
That process requires the use of administrative personnel who are dual certified as paramedics to come out of their administrative roles and respond, the use of manipulating schedules to increase hours and increase overtime that would have to be worked.
Medic has enough personal protective equipment for the moment, but they are still waiting on a new shipment from their supplier. Cabarrus County just had its first paramedic test positive for coronavirus. The county says the worker finished their last shift on Friday and later that day noticed they were feeling some symptoms. The worker immediately started isolating and was tested on Saturday. Officials do not believe the worker cared for any COVID-19 patients before showing symptoms. The health department is monitoring people who may have been exposed.
Well, there's a concerning trend nationwide. Coronavirus is infecting and killing African Americans at disproportionately higher rates than others. The New York Times reports that could be due in part for 4 key factors here. First is a job disparity. Many African Americans don't have the luxury of working from home and are at greater risk traveling to and from work. Now, there's also less likely to be insured and more likely to have underlying medical conditions that make it harder to recover. And the Times found racial bias is also a factor. African Americans are less likely to get a referral for testing when they visit a clinic. Now, the Times interviewed Mecklenburg County Superior Court Judge Donnie Hoover. He and his wife Josephine told our Glen Counts last night both tested positive. The judge has this message for everyone who thinks it won't happen to them.
Well, first of all, people need to take it seriously. You know, staying in the house, staying away from other people, because you don't know who has it.
Well, the Judge Hoover says that this is nothing like the flu. He says it's very draining and just doing household tasks is a chore. And we found there's a clear discrepancy in Mecklenburg County when it comes to race and COVID-19. Take a good look here. African Americans make up more than 43% of coronavirus cases in the county as of April 4th, but less than 33% of the population. Well, some commissioners said that there is reason for concern about those numbers. Hospital officials want to do more testing so they can dig deeper into those numbers and better understand them.
General Motors will be building ventilators for the United States. GM is expected to deliver more than 6,100 ventilators by June 1st, with a total of 30,000 by the end of August. GM will receive $489 million, which is great news for those workers. It's the first contract for ventilator production under the Defense Production Act.